Hello, warriors, 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 warriors. What are you doing? What are you up to today? This is Story Warrior at Amsterdam Airport. Amsterdam Airport has a lot of lessons for you guys. If you're a founder, you better pay attention to what is happening around this beautiful airport. The last time I was here is more than 10 years, but I can tell you this airport is always improving, it's always growing, it's always changing. Number one thing that impressed me this time, the tables for users, the tables for travelers are superb. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me get first straight to the point. Do you know that airports have a lot to teach us? If you're a business person, if you are a traveler, airports have a lot to teach us. And Amsterdam, in particular, is one of those fascinating airports that's always rejuvenating itself, always growing, always changing, and always upgrading. I love the fact that the tables for travelers to use their laptops are large, they are very clear, they're very clean, and I compare them to other airports where they're tiny, they're a little squeezy, and it bothers me. You can barely sit. So number one thing that impresses me here is the layout of those tables. If you're a business person, you're a founder, you're a creator, how's your creation? How's your space for creation? How's your space where you lay out your goods? How's it like? And you know that airports also teach us about the importance of knowing what to take and what not to take. Yes, you have a product launch, you have something to showcase. What would you showcase and what would you not showcase? It's important to take some time to identify that which is more important and that which is not so important. And some things you don't have to carry them. When I left home, US yesterday, I did not have to take all my bags. I don't have to take all my shirts or let alone all my jackets. I picked just a few of them that were relevant for my journey. And boy, did I make a good choice because when I got to the airport, I did not have to pay extra money. And that was very easy. So it's important to know what to take along and what not to take along. But one thing you must never forget when you leave home or when you get to the airport is what is your ticket like? What is your boarding pass? We all need boarding passes. But this is not just about a boarding pass when you travel. What is the boarding pass for your business? When you onboard someone, what is the number one item, critical item, keystone item that you must give them to ensure that they are able to travel or to get on that journey that you want them to get on with your company? It's important, always important, to have a boarding pass. And yes, a passport. What is the equivalent of a passport? For someone to function in your business, for someone to function in your company, this is important. So, right here at Amsterdam, it's a busy place. It's always busy. But this time around, I'm glad that I have a little bit more time to kill while waiting for my flight to Kigali, Rwanda, to speak at a conference. But I'm not going to make a big deal about that for now. I want you to ping me, text me, write to me, and ask me, Gideon, why are you going to Kigali? In fact, some of my friends have doubted, why am I going to Kigali? Let me say this. I am going to Kigali because I believe Africa is the future. Let me say that again. Africa is the future. The continent is rising. The continent is changing demographically, economically, politically. It is changing more than ever before. That's why I'm going to Kigali. Yes, I have a little contribution to make at the All Africa Leadership Summit, but that's beside the point. I'm going there because I don't want to read it sitting on the sidelines. I want to be in the room where some of the decision makers are talking about the different revolutionary moments that are happening on the continent now. So, yes, it's not just an ideal journey, it's a very purposeful journey. With the emergence of AI, There's so much is going on. So much is happening. Oh, yes, so much is happening. But what trumps it all is your purpose. It's not just about a technology. It's not just about what kind of tool or gadget you can use. The question is, how can you use it? And how can you use it ethically? In fact, that is part of my presentation in Kigali. Value-based leadership in the era of AI. How do you train leaders who are ethical, leaders who are conscious of the fact that the decisions that they make impact other people's lives, the unintended consequences? Yes, in the age of AI, it's important, it's critical to always make ethical decisions. And I will start by using the ring of Gyges. Maybe some of you know about the ring of Gyges. This is a thought experiment from Plato from way, way back 2,400 years ago. And that's where I'm going to start. But I don't want to unpack that now. I want to just probably end this session by talking about this beautiful little store here. I bought a bunch of chocolates from here. I bought 3. They gave me the 4th one for free. Can you believe that? I left home not knowing that I will be buying chocolate. I come from a chocolate producing country. But an interesting factor it is, I said to the lady, I bought so much. I bought so much for almost 60 euros. Aren't you going to give me a big discount because today is Wednesday? She thought about it for a moment and she said to me, no, I'm going to give you a discount on Thursday, not on Wednesday. I thought that's pretty smart. That's pretty brilliant. And I said, all right, so I have to take a flight back from Kigali to Amsterdam tomorrow just to get a discount. She said, sure enough, do that. But she had a good sense of humor and we had a good time. And I know that next time when I come through here, I have to make sure I buy some of their chocolates. But suffice to say, I had someone here with a good sense of humor. And I can't wait to get all the way to Kigali to do what I do best, share some ideas, learn from others. And this has been Story Warrior on the move in Amsterdam, reminding us that airports teach us to remember that when you leave home, you don't have to take every baggage of yours. You have to leave some baggage behind. When you leave home, remember to take your passport. And yes, always remember to have your boarding pass. If you have a business, what is the equivalent of a boarding pass? What is the equivalent of a passport? When you bring in new customers, when you bring in new prospects, when you bring in new customer advocates, what is the equivalent of that? So this is Gideon from Mokwai, Story Warrior on the move in Amsterdam. Peace, love, and pumpkins. Yeah.